Lovely. Wow, we just did that whole thing. Uh,
Let's see if we can get some audio back here.
yeah, so um, all that
There we
talk
are.
for
All right.
7 or 8 minutes. Um, we were talking
Round two.
about how
Round
we
two.
were updating our social platforms to Mastodon. Kevin just got set up on there. I've been on there since like November, but
Mhm.
still, I rarely use it.
Okay.
Um, and it's kind of unique. It's Twitter esque type of feel, um, and you can communicate with anyone on the platform, but you actually belong to a specific server, which we both actually got onto the AWS community.social server. Uh,
Mhm.
how long did
You
it
got.
take to you?
I was gonna say that you got on pretty quick. You were pretty instant. I was on a wait list for a few days.
Okay, a few
So
days. Okay,
yeah. So I got my acceptance letter, or
nice.
acceptance email,
Uh-huh.
and recently, and then just jumped into it to see what it's all about. So my face will be up there, and I'll be posting things and seeing what it's about. I think I want to keep it very tech focused. Sometimes when you create a social media presence, you can have these different accounts like, Kevin photography, Kevin tech guy,
Mhm.
Kevin uh, whatever else, food guy, but I think this is an area that I want to keep very development focused.
Okay, cool.
Um, Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I do want to iterate again that we are rebranding ourselves. So our show, instead of going from between two beans, we're actually Let's Talk Voice. So we wanted a title or a name that really encapsulates what we talk about on this show, something a little more fine tuned or tailored to the discussions that we have.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
let's talk voice.
Yeah, we will still have a bean theme. We're not totally rebranding the entire show, so you'll still have some familiarity. Mainly, it's the name, and we're gonna bring in some fun memes and gifs and stuff like that to uh, uh, more go with voice
Perfect.
branding.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
So we,
without the,
oh, yeah, sorry. So we were saying that it was a light week for both of us as far as posting on our socials and even in the
Discord and
Discord. It was pretty light this week for both of us. We've
yep.
been kind of getting into some other odds and ends, and something called the Superbowl took our attention a little bit.
So, uh, did you watch it?
I did. I
Okay.
did. Um, it was kind of odd for me because Pennsylvania has two football teams, right?
Okay.
And I'm on the western side of the state. So
Hmm.
so by law, I have to be a Steelers fan, right?
Okay.
So it was weird because all of these Steeler fans around me were kind of like, "Well, wait, we have to root for, Pennsylvania a little bit." So it was this bizarre like transition
Nice.
bandwagon jumping thing,
Uh-huh.
you know. I
Just for
just
this one day, one
just for one
game.
day, not even a full day. It just has to be like 5 hours. That's it. But
Nice.
yeah, I mean, regardless of who wins or lose, I still have to go to work. I didn't make any major money off of any sports bets or anything like that. So, but I did
Nice.
watch the game. I watched the game to for I have three reasons why I watched the game. One, the football, that part of it. Two, the commercials, and three, for me, the Super Bowl marks the passing of football season, and we're getting into baseball season. So that's
Oh,
what it
okay.
is for
All
me.
right. All
So,
right. Nice.
but how about you, Will? You
So
big
I
football guy?
didn't watch it.
Okay.
The wife had it on for a bit, Um, but I was playing games with my son.
There you go.
Um, and I then the next day we watched the halftime show because we're
Uh-huh.
both Rihanna fans.
Yep. Yep.
Um, oh, excuse me. And my wife missed it because we switched it before halftime.
Gotcha.
Uh, so, but she also she mainly wanted it on there for the commercials. She
Mhm.
does not like football, so she was just doing it for the commercials. I then also watched all, or not all. I watched like the top top commercials uh,
Mhm.
the next day, like on YouTube or something like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I was in it for some of the movie trailers as well.
yeah, hmm
I was
I
keeping an
saw
eye on
all the
some of
movie
those.
trailers.
Okay. Okay. And from
So,
our discussion before, did anything change? You're more excited, less
um,
excited?
so I actually, I'm not excited, but I think my view on Fast 10 actually
Uh-huh.
changed after watching the trailer.
Okay.
So it's not like on the bottom of the barrel anymore. More,
Right.
I'll
Right.
watch it when it's free on streaming, of course.
Right. That makes sense. That's kind of where I'm at too.
But I thought
Um,
it was at least in the trailer. And when you watch the movie, it probably is a whole different thing. But in the trailer, it looked like it was going back to more of the cars. Uh,
yes. Yes.
I saw a lot of racing going on.
Mhm.
Um, so mm, that's what
Yeah.
kind of got me more hooked into that one.
Right. Going back to the roots a little bit.
Oh yeah, and then Guardians launching in May.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
did we know this? I did not know
I
this.
didn't. I didn't, and I feel embarrassed to not have known that. Um,
Yeah, same with me. Same with me. Yeah,
I feel like that slapped me in the face, like out of left field
yeah.
somewhere.
It's like
But
we have wait. We have uh, one in March and one in May.
right,
What?
right, I
That's
know.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah, that was a eye opener.
mhm.
And it looks good. I expected it to look good.
Yeah, of course, of course. But yeah, I mean, it was a good game. I thought, there were people running up the field, down the field, throwing it
Balls
around a
thrown,
little bit. Yeah, I mean, it
kicked.
was it was a football game, and it was neat, you know.
Nice.
But what did you think of that halftime show? What was your opinion on that?
It was pretty good. It was
Yeah.
entertaining. We were both impressed that she did it all by herself, and there wasn't any secondary singers or anything like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Typically, they usually have
Multiple.
another group or another
I was
performer with them.
expecting to have JC back again, especially with all the Rihanna songs that Jay Z does with Rihanna.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but yeah, but
Yeah.
no, we really liked it.
Mhm. Well, good, good.
How about you?
I thought the same thing. I thought it was entertaining, and it was, uh, they always take it to 11, right? Like it's like the show that they hype up, and they do all uh, the stage. I'm not up to date on all my technical terms. Like the stage decorations and
Oh yeah.
like all the extra stuff that adds to the not just the singing, but the choreography
Mm-hmm.
and just the elements that make the show. I
Mm-hmm.
thought were pretty good. Sometimes it gets real dark and you're like trying to figure out what's going on and stuff, but I think it was well done. I really do.
I definitely don't think they did as much of the extra stuff.
Yes.
It was mostly focused on the singing and dancing,
Mhm.
and that was it. It was very clean crisp type of performance.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy with it, and on to the next one.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
but yeah. So we also have here. We want to talk about the future of Let's Talk Voice. And did you want to start that off?
So um, I kind of actually already said most of it,
Okay.
but I did
Yeah.
have one thing that I wanted to share with everyone. Um, are you listening to the or watching the stream?
I could have Twitch up.
Okay, do that for this because I'm going to play a MP3. So, when I was brainstorming today, trying to think of more things of to rebrand Let's Talk Voice. We are still, uh, like I stated before, we're still going to have all the things that we do right now. We're going to have the developer come on and talk to the everyone, uh, and we're still going to review different skills and all that kind of stuff. But I was trying to uh, redo the opening welcome thing, and
Hmm.
when I hear "Let's Talk Voice," I kind of feel like it's a news uh, thing. So I was thinking
Okay.
um, old school news, music ish type of thing. Maybe
Okay.
electronic
That
type of feel. And um, I made this little, this is only 35 seconds long. So I would have to tweak it for the actual intro. But I want everyone to hear it and let me know what you think. If it's trash or if we need to just tweak it a little bit, whatever. I want all your feedback, good and bad. Here it is. That's it. So, what do you think?
I like it. I think it's very crisp, very clean.
Okay, all right. I like it. Oxygen box, are you still there? If you if you heard the music, let me know what you think of it. And like I said before, I made it, so I have all the rights to it. But yeah,
Mhm.
um, if you're watching this in the future, please let me know what you think of the music. Um, and I do want to add a little bit more to it, but not too much that it's like it loses that clean, crisp feel, like you said, Kevin.
Right.
Uh, so, um, yeah, that's all I have for that section. And we are moving on to um, an article.
Yeah. Yeah. So um, I, I don't know. I think it's just the United States, but February is Black History Month, and that's something that we wanted to bring up as well. And it was nice that Amazon, Amazon really strikes me as this inclusive kind of progressive, forward-thinking tech company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to see that they really bring this to the forefront. So they have a blog post that they had put up today, actually, and it really highlights a developer. And this developer is, I believe it's Kabila Williams,
I would say Camilla Williams. Yep.
and Kabila is the Amazon Senior Technical Curriculum Developer. So
Hmm.
quite the title there. But we would probably recognize her work from the Alexa Learning Lab. So
Nice.
she had a
Yeah.
critical role in developing the ALL. And so uh, her skill set in curriculum development directly influenced the team when they were building this. The learning experiences that you can get from using the Alexa Learning Lab,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll pause on that real quick. Have you used the ALL at all?
Just a little bit. I did a APL when they first launched the APL on there.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I was a beta tester. So
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
I've used it as well. And it's a nice little sandboxed tutorial learning environment.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a really, really good job with it as well.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it. But again, uh, this article here, it's one of their longest articles that I've come across on the blog site, but it really goes into her history and where she, kind of grew up and what influenced her, where she went to university, and how she kept pushing herself forward in the education field. So she was actually in mathematics, but
Mm-hmm.
always focused in the STEM aspect, kind of incorporating that into the other sciences and technology, engineering, utilizing math.
I was gonna say you
Um,
have to know math to
exactly.
do tech. So
Yeah. Yeah. So she actually joined the Amazon Alexa team in 2018 as a senior learning and development specialist, and then grew her skill set into the team that developed all of the ALL stuff. But she had a quote here that says, I am fulfilling a long-term goal of mine to prove to myself that this is something that I can do. I want to be that example that I did not see. I did not see many examples of individuals who looked like me in STEM who were female and Black American. So yeah, it's nice that she's taking that active leader role
mm-hmm.
and
For sure.
and
That's
putting her face
powerful.
out there. Exactly, exactly. It's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she acknowledges that it's still rare to have uh, those two demographics in not only leadership roles, but just roles in general. Some of the just socioeconomic status and things like that kind of create some hurdles there. But it was nice that she's able to overcome that and use her experiences to teach others as well.
Yep.
And she does a lot of work in the community in order to make sure that uh, kids are getting the opportunities that they need to in order to be successful in these STEM type roles. So, but I did want to highlight it a bit and make sure that we talked about it just for two reasons was the ALL, right? I mean, that was something that we had talked about recently, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a really, really good tool. And it's nice to see that Amazon is giving credit where it's due in
Exactly.
in the appropriate ways. So, but it's definitely worth a read. It's one
Yeah.
of, again, their longer articles, but
Yeah.
it's an easy read. It kind of, for me, I always like to hear about people's backgrounds and how they got into the field or how they got into the role that they did. You
Mhm.
know, um, it's always interesting whenever uh, the office hours that Jeff Blankenberg hosts. He brings on guests, and it's always fun to hear. Oh, uh, I flipped burgers for 5 years, and then I worked in retail for a while, and then taught myself to do this and
Mhm.
into that, or what have you. So, or
Yep.
then you have people who are like, I was in this field before it was even called voice tech. Yeah, we've had
Yeah,
people for 40 years. So, but yeah, it's a good article, and I highly suggest that you read it. It's definitely worth your time.
for sure.
So, let's see here. I don't actually have a clever segue on this one. I'm slacking, I guess.
Uh,
But I did, typically we review skills every once in a while. We'll kind of go through a skill and test it out, or look at some functionality, or we'll get a theme together and
mhm.
have a little bit of fun with it and go through it. But today, I kind of want to go through the Alexa app on our on specifically Android phones. Okay. And the reason I wanted to do this was because I was digging through, and just from a usability perspective, I feel like there could be some updates to it. Um,
You
I
think
know,
there should be some updates to it, or there have been?
I think there needs to be. I
Oh,
mean,
needs to be. Okay.
there may have been updates to it that
Yeah.
improve some
Hmm.
things, but I feel, and this isn't a terrible criticism or anything. I don't want to be overly judgmental, but an Oxygen Box says the iPhone app is a travesty. So
Hmm.
I have an iPhone sitting here as well, but I'm not going to talk about that because I'm not as experienced with it since I'm running an Android phone at the moment. And if we don't have an overlay or anything, so you can't see the phone, but I'm sure the
Hmm.
experiences are fairly similar. But we have talked about this in the past where perfect, perfect. We've talked about this in the past where I just don't use it out and about, right? So Google is baked into the phone,
Right.
so anywhere I'm at, I could say the wake word for the Google side of it and get the weather or set a timer or do whatever I needed to do that I would use voice for.
Hmm.
Um, Same thing with Siri. Siri is baked in, and you can from anywhere just say the wake word and do what you need to do. I really can't do that from a, a from my phone perspective unless I have the app open. I mean,
You
there may
sure?
be some. I don't. I didn't think that I could just have my phone sitting there and say the wake word, and it would
Hmm.
pick that up from the Alexa or from the Amazon perspective. Um, I know if I have the app open, I can do that. Or if I
Okay.
have the app open, I can press the bottom right icon and open it up and do what I need to do that way. But if I wanted to, let's say I'm out and about at um at a restaurant, right? And I'm like, did I turn my bedroom light off? And then I'd have to open the app, tap it or say it, and then turn off my bedroom light, right? That kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, so I just wish there was a little bit, and I feel like it can be done, but I don't know all the logistics behind it. If they could just have it as a default assistant that I could set, that it would wait for that wake word. I
So, I'm pretty sure this is the answer for you.
no.
Yeah, it is a no because we are on Samsungs. So
Okay.
Bixby is the Samsung voice.
Right.
And
Right.
because of that, you won't get the option to have Google, Alexa, or Bixby.
Gotcha.
If it is a LG or I forget, Motorola. I'm
Hmm.
staring at a Motorola right now. Or a Motorola, they have the option to change your voice assistant. So then
Okay.
you can use even the buttons that are on your phone to activate the voice assistant. Or you can just say the wake word and it would work.
Okay.
Um, now, but since we are using lovely Samsung phones,
Hmm.
they lock that out of there.
Okay. So that's partly that reason for that then.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oxygen Box, can you activate yours with your iPhone? I'm guessing the answer is no because of Siri.
this is
But
extra no.
but let us know if you can activate it via voice or a button on your phone. But
Um,
go ahead. I didn't want to.
no, that's
Did
okay.
you have?
Can't you just Oxygen Box says, can't you just use Alexa through the regular Amazon app?
Yes.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. You can use it
It's
through
just
the Amazon app or the Alexa app.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. It just seems that it's an extra step. That's all.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when you get into the app itself, you get the shortcuts at the top, and it's based on what you've done recently in the app. Like right now, for me, I have three on here, and it's routines, skills and games, and music settings. Because I use my devices to play music quite a bit, and routines are something that I have set up as well. You know, for certain times of day, lights and things will go on and off,
Hmm.
or reminders and whatnot for the kiddos and stuff. So I do like the shortcuts. That's okay with me. When you scroll down a little bit, you get into an activity section where it
Hmm.
shows you four or five of the most recent things that you've done.
Hmm.
So I almost feel like shortcuts, which are picked from your recent visits and activities, are kind of redundant, maybe a little bit, depending on your use case. I think with the routines, when activity gets that activity section is more specific between the routines that you're going through, that's more helpful. But for the music settings, I don't really, for me personally, I don't need to know
Hmm.
what's been going on or whatever.
I
Like
suppose that
my,
makes sense.
yeah, it just seems a little extra. And I feel like that space could be utilized for something else.
Or if you could modify that section
Mhm.
to have the buttons that you want in that section.
Yes. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Because I
Um,
actually like routines up there, but I also would love, because not always is my shopping list on the main page. So I
right.
would love a button on the main page that goes to my list and shopping list.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so and everyone will be different, right?
Mhm.
So I
Sure.
don't
Sure.
think I agree with you. I don't think it should be your most recent things you've areas you've went to. I think it should be either set as like the what most people use, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's tap uh, things that they can figure out with everyone's app
Mhm.
data, tap data. So they can tell everyone's tapping into lists or routines or whatever. So
Exactly.
the most popular areas that people go to, or have it modified or edited.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be really, really fantastic. But once you get past those sections, then you get into these kind of what I'm calling cards, and there's like a popular skill. And for me, the one that shows up right now is weather. And then it says, wake word, play my flash briefing. And it would which kind of is odd. But then there's an option to see more skills or actually launch that popular skill. But you can remove these cards that are here. You can get rid of those. I don't know if they come back upon a refresh or not. They do, actually. I just checked it. So then you get a new one each time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and I think this kind of came about not only, and I don't mind this so much. I'm always, if I'm looking for skills or whatever, then I would prefer it to be in not my home screen exactly, but more nested under a skill, like a featured skill section of
Mm-hmm.
whenever I look for skills.
Mm-hmm.
But this doesn't bother me too much. But it does seem
No.
to change upon refreshing. And then you get a card that's try this next. And I feel I understand why this is here. I personally don't need it or want it here. And I know that you and I and everybody who probably is involved in this show is an advanced user, but I feel like this is for the basics. You know, try this, and then other customers have tried, you know, turn on the lights, or arm the security system, or turn on the coffee maker. Those are the three that I have right now on my screen to try. Those, I don't have a smart coffee maker. I don't have a smart plug tied into a coffee maker. I have nothing called coffee maker in my ecosystem, right? So it's not really relevant to me either. So if it was more specific, like if it knew that I had a smart garage tied into this, one, I would know that I'm how to use my smart garage, like smart garage opener. It would, you know what I mean? Because I went through that whole setup process, and I would know that. So I don't need to try it just to open and close it just for funsies. So I feel like there could be something here that would be more useful or more tailored in a way. But it is a section that says browse things to try.
Yep.
And then you get into the, again, more basic stuff, which is okay if you're new to it. And maybe
I was just gonna say while we're in that section, mine are tell me a tale. Oh, tell me an animal tale.
okay.
How do you say love in French? And add milk to the shopping list.
Okay.
I always very do that. So, not the French part or the animal tale, but the shopping list. So nothing. I'm not going to try it because I already do it.
Right.
But
next, I have Alexa change your voice, and that, you know, there are voices out there that you can do. I think that's okay. Then I have a discover Amazon Kids, and then display your best photos on the Echo Show. It's just, this is almost something that whenever you install an app and you get that tutorial at the beginning, that's what this stuff feels like.
Exactly.
And I think I'm at the point in my usage of the app that I don't need these. That I feel like this space, this home screen, because it does in the bottom left says home, I feel like it could be better utilized at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I've never scrolled this far down on my screen.
Okay.
And there is so much more to scroll on. I mean, like, this is a never ending scroll.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, this definitely should be revamped. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Now, as far as, I don't know what your use cases are, Will, for if you use intercoms and announcements and dropping in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the communicate tab down at the bottom, I'm happy with. I like that one pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that one. I will do calls through my devices. I will drop in on the kitchen. or drop in on, wherever else.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done announcements as well
Yep.
to everybody's annoyance. When it's time for bed, I announce it, and everybody starts running around hiding. But I do that, and I like the communicate tab. It's simple to get in and get out and do. If I'm outside, I can still do it. It all ties together, and I love that. So the communicate tab, super happy with. The play tab, um, I haven't really used. I don't use this one at all. I like that I can see recently played on it, and other than that, I just get a lot of recommendations for things,
We use
which
it
is
quite a bit.
helpful. But you use
Well,
that one?
weekly, I guess, or I use it weekly.
Okay.
Because, or anytime we clean, that is.
Okay.
Because sometimes my devices will act a fool, and I am like, I'm just going to do it on my phone. It's much easier. I can click what I want to listen to, and I can put it in the party group just
Yep.
from my phone. So that's what I use it for.
That makes sense. That makes sense. You can get into linking services down there too, but they only have those services that are put there. If you wanted a specific service like Pocket Casts, then you have to go download the skill, link the skill, and get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So things like Pandora and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Title and whatnot are there. And it's like a one tap thing. Then it takes you to that
Mm-hmm.
link page. But otherwise, you just have to do an extra step.
Right.
So, yeah, I can see the use case for this. I am just not one of those users that utilizes this one that much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's not to say that I want everything tailored for me, but you know, the devices one. So this is, I have a love hate relationship with this tab.
Yep. I agree.
Uh, Depending on your third party accessories that you get, even though it might say, works with Alexa on the box and it has a little icon, whatever, a lot of times you're still going to a third party skill,
Mm-hmm.
installing that skill, linking it, and then it'll pull it into this devices tab. Um, for me, mine is kind of cluttered a little bit, and this is potentially my fault, but it has your devices up top as far as echoes and whatnot. Um, and then it has lights, plugs, and cameras. And so when you set these up, you definitely need to be aware of, yes, you might have a plug, a smart plug that's being plugged with or connected with a lamp, and then you leave the lamp on all the time, but you turn the plug on and off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you need to assign that plug as kind of a light in a way. So you need to be aware of what category that falls in. And if you're
Oh, I
not,
see what you're saying.
and
Mm-hmm.
if you, yeah, that wasn't the best way to say that, but if you're not consistent, it can get cluttered very quickly.
Yeah.
And
Oh, mine is cluttered.
I mean, I have a ton of lights. I have a ton of plugs. And so my dashboard here under the devices tab, yeah, exactly. It just gets so cluttered very, very quickly.
All my
Yeah.
devices.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe we are the exception to the rule, you know.
Yeah, it could
I
be.
have I did a count, and I have 7 echoes within my house.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's probably more than the average user, right? Um, but the rooms have ones, and upstairs and downstairs and around and whatever. But this can get very cluttered very quickly if you do not group things correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want things like upstairs, downstairs, bedrooms, that kind of stuff, you really need to be cognizant of what you're doing. Otherwise, it just becomes spaghetti, kind of a mess. And then you're scrolling and you're looking for names and whatnot of these devices. So just something to be aware of if you use it. But I think it's a good tab to have. I think it's a needed tab, but I think it could be maybe laid out a little differently or organized maybe a little bit better. Just
Yeah, I would
my
agree with that.
opinions. Because you have groups and then you have speaker groups as well. So those are different.
Yeah, I want to have actually the groups higher up. I think that would be better, and get rid of this favorites thing.
Yeah, favorites. I mean, you can edit your favorites.
That's true.
But it's, I don't know.
I've never
I
used
don't
it.
see a reason.
I've only used like the groups itself. That's the biggest thing I do, and then going to individual lights or plugs.
Yeah, same.
So I counted my echoes, not to one up you, but I have 16.
Oh, geez, that's like triple. Wow, that's impressive.
Not including like any fire sticks or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So once you get into this more tab, this is where things get extra interesting. You have lists and notes and reminders, calendar, alarms and timers, routines. Yep. We'll skip skills and games for a minute. There's follow updates. So if you if you have a sports team that you follow, you can set that.
Is that what that is? Okay.
So I have a baseball one that I do.
Okay.
And it's always annoying when it goes off, because I'm thinking you get the yellow ring that'll light up with the notification sound. And then it also pings my phone, and you can do a text message and whatever. There's an automotive section, a blueprints section where you can actually build a blueprint skill from your phone. There's a things to try section, which basically takes you to almost a skill store, like a kind of an offshoot or a mini skill store.
Not always, but it has other things. But yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah. The Alexa Together stuff, that's the subscription service that they have. And Find My, and you can call your phone and do all that stuff. Workout, I've never touched that one. We know that. And Cooking Library. So then you have then below.
Cooking Library was there.
Yeah. I think that's a recent addition, actually. But then you have your settings, your activity, and then help and feedback. But this is also another section where you can add a device as well. Correct. So you can walk through that whole process. I feel like the more tab is just kind of this throw it all together junk drawer in a way. I think it's organized well enough for using it, because but most of the time I don't come in here to do anything except skills. If I'm going to add a skill, this is where I would do it.
Okay.
Everything else I do through voice. So if I'm setting up a list or taking a note, it's through voice. It's through voice. The reminders, absolutely through voice. Calendar events, alarms and timers. I'm not coming in here to set a timer. I would say set a 6:30 alarm on Jonah's room, I wouldn't go in here and do that.
Right.
So that's
Well,
just my
I sometimes do alarms in here.
okay.
So
Okay. Well, so yeah, this is good use cases and compare and contrast a little bit. But Oxygen Box has a really good comment that says, "What a messy app. The average user is going to understand or take time to use a small fraction of all that functionality. And why can't a company as big as Amazon create a user-friendly app experience? And then better yet, you should be able to do all setup via voice." Exactly. That's exactly right. My thing too, and is you should do it all through voice if you can. I mean, maybe I know that I think you and I have talked about this, Will. I know Jeff's talked about it on his streams. It can be clunky to do um, account stuff through
yeah.
voice, but excuse me, you should be able to do as much as possible without ever having to tap a single thing.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that one, Oxygen Box, for sure. And it does feel like a messy app. And based on your comment earlier, I was going to say excited. That was the wrong word. I'm going to fire up the iPhone and load it on there and see what it looks like to kind of do a compare and contrast.
Nice.
I know that when you develop for Android, there are design guidelines that you have to follow. And Apple has their own design guidelines. If you want an app on their store, you're following their rules, right? So I'm disappointed and kind of sad to hear that the iPhone app is a travesty as well. You would think that would kind of be held to a higher standard, but perhaps not. So all that said, just to kind of give an overview and a kind of, I guess I was going to say mini review, but I rambled quite a bit on
No,
it.
that was
I
good.
think
That's good.
there are definitely improvements that can be made to the user experience, the layout, the design. I have recommendations, but again, you can't please everybody on these, but you can at least look at your data and see what your users are doing and make decisions off that. And maybe
Yep.
they are. It's quite possible, but at least give me the ability to customize how I want it to look.
Yeah.
I know when I've gone through certain phone setup, it'll say like, are you a power user or do you want simple mode? And I could just say, hey, I'm a power user. I know what I'm doing. Thanks, but no thanks. And I'll be on my way. Otherwise, you could do more of a tutorial hand holding scenario. But yeah, I don't think it's terrible. I just think that if it were a little bit different, I would probably utilize it more for the things that I absolutely have to use it for. But I do want voice first. So that's my rant. That's my ramble. That's my review.
Very nice.
So, so now that I'm all hot and bothered about it, I
We're gonna
will
talk
talk.
some more because we're on to Bean of the Week, and I don't have one today.
That's
I
all
was,
right.
yeah.
It was a light week. We talked about it at the top of the show that it's just been one of those weeks. And this is actually something I've had for a little while, but I wanted to bring up just because here where I'm at, the air is very dry right now in the middle of winter, and I have a diffuser, and specifically it's for like essential oils and stuff like that, which they smell nice. I don't know if they do anything to affect me psychologically or something. I don't know what the science is all behind that stuff, but I can put like this mint eucalyptus thing and it smells nice,
Okay.
and it also puts some moisture back in the air. So,
Hmm.
um, the Evans household has been sick lately. It just runs through us. So, we're all stuffy or whatever. This does tend to help. You know, you
Nice.
you sleep with it on next to your nightstand or whatever, and I've noticed the difference. But
Do you have like one for you, one for your wife, or is it just like one per room, or what do you do?
so I have one down in this office here, and this
Okay.
is a small, like 12 by 12 square, and it
Hmm.
does pretty well for that. And then we have one on uh, Jonah's nightstand, and one for Claire, and then we have one in our bedroom, our master bedroom. And
Okay.
it's not this model here, but it's a larger one, that kind of helps disperse that a little bit further.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean it's a good thing that we've invested in, and I think it's kind of helping a little bit because Jonah used to get nosebleeds until we started running that. I think his nasal passages were just so dry
Hmm.
that because we have uh, forced air heat.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it just dry. It's just dry right now in this time of year. So give it 6 months and I'll be complaining because it's too hot and humid. But you know, but that being said, that's my bean of the week.
Very
We're getting to
nice.
the top of the hour here, so we'll kind of wrap it up with a little bit of a recap. Again, we're doing uh, a rebrand, so let's talk voice. And so be aware of that. We're going to relabel a few things here and there, pieces and parts, and make sure that we're keeping our focus there. We're going to do a couple uh, little neat things with some sound effects and GIFs and whatnot.
Hmm.
So be aware of that. If there's anything that you'd like to see, any specific suggestions that you have, absolutely get in touch with us on Discord. That's a great place to do it. And Will, you've been on Mastodon. I'm getting my feet under me with Mastodon. So I will get some, I don't even know what you call them on Mastodons yet. Friend invites? Are we friends on there or are we, what do they call them there?
Sure.
Followers, acquaintances,
Followers. Yeah, they're followers.
followers. All right,
So yeah,
followers.
you can. Um, yep.
I was going to say pals, but okay. But yeah, that's a great way to get in touch with us. Discord and everything. And if you're on Mastodon and have some tips and tricks, that's great too. Um, I'm glad that Amazon has highlighted their diversity in their workforce. And if they can if they can just give me what I want in their app, I would be a happy man. But yeah, on that note, it's
Very
been
nice.
great talking with everybody. Oxygen Box, always a pleasure. Thank you for your
Yes. Thank
input.
you.
And unless you have anything else, we'll see you next week.
As well put. Well done. So yep. We'll see you next week, and hopefully with some new improvements. Take care, everyone, and see you next week. Bye, everyone.